Now hey rich people, and welcome back to the channel. Another Swiss001 video. Yes, we're back with Flight Simulator Fun with Swiss001 or something. And today we have got a private jet right in front of us, and that's actually for a reason. Yes, today let's talk a little bit more about private air travel. And actually I've selected quite a suitable location for that as well, and that is obviously, as you can tell, Le Mole Airport, the airport that we're at in every video now for some reason. But this is also an airport that is, well, it's only serving private flights like this Challenger 300. Maybe this plane is a little big for this small airport, but you definitely cannot find Ryanair flying here and destroying their runways with hard landings. No, you can only find private jets. Actually, here in the scenery, we have some private jets drawn in, like this Mustang, and we have another Cessna here. Yeah, this is, today we are rich. Now, obviously, there are a lot of advantages when flying privately, of course. I mean, just look at this plane first, the Challenger 300. No, this is not the Jamal from GTA 5 or something. This is a plane that actually exists. Challenger 300 Bombardier, made in Canada? Do they make planes in Canada still? I don't know, but obviously, this is quite a nice plane. I like to actually fly this plane around privately. Well, not in real life because I'm not rich, unless you give me money on Patreon for it, but that's another story. No, I fly it around in the simulator, and well, as a pilot at least, it's very fun to fly, but I'm pretty sure that as a passenger, you also have a pretty nice time here. This is actually a quite nicely, like, mid-sized private jet. It's, like, not super big that you have, like, an entire apartment in your plane, right? No, but this is quite cute. You have a little bit of a kitchen. Can we use any of these things here? Now, some of these things here are usable, but no. Alright. Yeah, I'm just really finding buttons to press. Here we go. We can even use the tray table. Obviously, you can do anything on a private flight. You can bring water bottles. There's no TSA security controls. I mean, it's either your own plane when you have actually own private jets, then you're actually super rich, or you can also like charter a plane. What that means is basically you rent a plane with pilots, obviously, or unless you want to fly the plane yourself, which you can totally do if you have a private pilot license and obviously a type rating for the Challenger 300. But no, when you rent the plane, you can do anything with it normally. Well, it depends on the charter company. But obviously, this is our own thing now. This plane is mid-sized again, meaning that it does actually still have like a lavatory or a toilet. There are quite a lot of smaller planes like the Cessna Mustang that's also standing here. That one I don't think has a toilet implemented, so you have to pee in a bottle, which actually works quite well. I mean, the plane I fly, it doesn't have a lavatory either, of course. The Cirrus. Let's see what else we got. We have a little bit of the baggage department. You can even hang your clothes here. That's nice. All right. Obviously, that's only Gucci that's coming on here. Okay. And we have got a mirror that obviously we cannot see ourselves in the mirror. I would like to actually know what we look like here in the flight simulator, but that's another story. What else can we press here? Oh, that has not been a good idea. Put that back. Put that. There we go. Yeah. All right. We can even play music here. We can hear subtle classical music in the background. Yeah. Very soothing. Let's turn that off again. So yeah, that is the Challenger 300. Obviously, very comfortable plane. Comfort is pretty much one of the biggest advantages. Especially in times like COVID-19, you don't have any restrictions, really. You don't even have to wear a mask because you're alone in the plane. Really, it gives you freedom like that. That's actually something I read on Bloomberg. Flying privately is a little better on the health side because obviously you don't have any disgusting passengers on your flight. No Karens on board. If you live in the US, definitely there are a lot of Karens, and that's that's all around the world. In Europe, we have drunk British people on planes, especially on Ryanair. You can find a lot of them. But no, there's also the Susanna, which is the German Karen as well on board that can be Karen. You don't have that in your own plane, of course. So that's obviously a good thing. And obviously, you don't have to go through terminals. Again, no TSAs or anything. Well, depending on the actual company, but healthy-wise, that's another advantage. Not particularly safety. But that's what we actually come to later, of course. Now, obviously, another advantage is obviously speed. Not having to go through like TSAs or anything means that you can literally just, enter the terminal and then walk over to the plane or get driven, depending on company, of course. There we go. Let's go ahead and take off. That was no problem. Flying out of Le Mole, actually using the runway from the wrong side, but that's a whole other story, of course. No, but that's really the nice things about flying privately. There's a lot of freedom. Everything goes faster. What else is there? are. There's countless, really. And it's obviously quite a flex on the Instagram. Now, by the way, something I have kind of forgot to mention is obviously you can fly to any airport you want. Well, if your plane actually fits on the airport. I mean, here with Lamoille Airport in the background. It was kind of closed, actually, but I think the Challenger 300 would be able to fly at this small airport. But no, you can really fly to any place you want. Obviously, again, such an airport does not have airline service. And you can, operate at your own schedule, you say, when the plane starts and not any airline or something. So that's kind of nice. But obviously there are some disadvantages as well. Like, some charter companies, some planes do not have Wi-Fi on board, which is obviously a big problem. Another smaller problem, I think, is safety. Of course, private jets tend to crash a lot more often than commercial planes, and actually a lot more often. That's now been a crash. Just to demonstrate the safety of private air travel. And, well, no wonder that it's dangerous when you fly to places like this, for example. Courchevel. Of course, not every private jet flight goes to Courchevel. I mean, this slope just still amazes me on this runway. It's crazy. No, but this is actually one of the most dangerous airports. But that is obviously no problem for a private jet like this, the Pilatus PC-12. This is actually quite a nicely sized one as well. This one is actually a little smaller than the Challenger 300 because, as you can tell, it doesn't have a lavatory in the back. I mean, it does have an emergency lavatory that's implemented here on the floor, and it's really only for it's pretty disgusting, but that's a whole other story. And for some reason, we don't have any engine sound, but who needs engine sound, am I right? No, but this is how this plane rolls. No, really, this plane can fly anywhere. You can fly this on a farming field or something. Doesn't really care. You can even land this plane on a mountainside. That's what we're kind of doing right now. We're taking off from a mountainside. But no, this plane can really fly anywhere, land anywhere. But obviously flying to dangerous places means that you have a dangerous flight, which is why the safety record of this plane compared to especially airliners have a better safety rating than the PC-12, even though this is a very powerful, pretty safe plane. But obviously when you're flying it every day to random, pretty dangerous places, then chances are really high that you're gonna get a bad safety record. Again, not because the plane is not properly built or something. I mean, of course, here at Courchevel Airport as well, there have been, I don't know, have there been crashes before? I mean, obviously, there's this famous clip here of a Piper Malibu landing at Courchevel in real life, of course. And, well, that plane overran the runway. And what that means is that it crashes into snow here. There we go. Boom. Yeah, not a particularly good landing there. By the way, interestingly enough, the call sign of this plane was actually F guys. The camera quality here is 4K, of course. Jesus. I can kind of see it's almost F guys or something. But there are actually not many crashes here, ironically. But that's another story. Let's just say, this is not a safe airport, so there are not many safe flights. Now, obviously, another thing that makes private air travel a little bit more dangerous than commercial air travel, next to flying to smaller airports that are not well equipped, safety-wise, is obviously the problem with pilots. Private jet pilots, either when you're flying yourself or actually hire some professional pilots to fly your plane, tend to be a little less experienced than commercial pilots, of course. I mean, especially when you're flying your own plane yourself, and our Dassault Falcon FA-50 is broken as well, it doesn't work. But it's probably the most amazing looking private jet, with the 3 engines. That's really just nice. I mean, we can take a look into the cabin as well. This is also like, oh, what the hell is this? Holy moly, this is actually genuinely scary. This is totally broken. Yeah, see, I mean, just look at these pilots. They cannot be nearly as good as commercial pilots, of course. No, that's really just a tendency. Pilots can be another issue with flying privately. Now we're here now in a King Air, a pretty small-sized private jet. Well, it's not really a jet. It's a turboprop, which is basically a jet. This is more of a popular private jet that you can actually own if you have around properly $10 million laying around. That's how much this plane's going to cost when you actually try to operate it as well for quite a long time. If you have that kind of money, then of course you can buy a plane like this and maybe fly it yourself. I think this plane can be flown with just a single pilot, and you can transport your family around. As you can see, this is a pretty fast airplane, pretty nice airplane, twin jet. You can't really complain about this plane, but obviously you have to be a safe pilot in order to do that, and in order to be safe, of course. Yeah, we just took off from Sedona Airport, another very interesting private airport that is actually in the US of A. As you can see, we have the canyons here or something. Yeah, this is probably Utah. I think this is Utah. Very interesting landscape. Now what can we say about private air travel? If you can afford it, then just do it. I mean, who cares really about safety that much? It's not like when you're in a private plane you immediately crash. But to name some numbers, since we're at the end of this video, now safety of planes is measured in flight hours mostly. So for example, per 1 million flight hours, a commercial plane has 0.4 crashes, whereas a private plane, like a general aviation plane, has 0.9 per 100,000 flight hours, which makes it around 10 times more dangerous. That's, just the stats that the FAA likes to give, and that's kind of like a good aiming point there. 10 times more dangerous, which makes sense, but more than 10 times better. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. As always, good night. Now we have got some new members on board today. Dr. Sayandeep Days and Joshua 1886 is here as well. Yeah. So become a member to,